This is my daily driver, my Kia EV6, and if you guys have been following along, you'll know we are doing a long-term coating test on this specific car, where I installed 10 different ceramic coatings on the paint, 4 different wheel coatings, and 2 different glass coatings, and today we're going to give you an update on it. We're also going to be diving into a little bit more of chemical decontamination today. Previously, we've been trying to be very gentle on the coatings here, just doing a pH neutral contact wash on this, but today we're actually going to introduce some alkalinity as well as some acid to this to get off the dirt and grime here. We'll talk about that a little bit more. So this is a 4,500 mile update on our long-term coating test. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into it. Well guys, thanks for being here today, and genuinely, this is my favorite test I've ever done here on the channel. It might not be the biggest views we've ever done, but I find this to be the most interesting. And man, only a couple months in here, we are already seeing some huge differences between the coatings, some really pulling ahead of others, and some really quite lackluster in my personal impression here. So what we've been doing with this car over the past couple of months, I installed the coatings on January 2nd. I think the video went up the following day, if not a few days after, but I've been trying to keep you guys following along here. I've been trying to maintain this car as much as possible, and the biggest thing here is we've just been using pH neutral shampoo when we're drying the car. I'm not trying to introduce anything here because I don't want to affect the coatings whatsoever. Should also be noted, I am not here to try and damage these coatings, nor am I here to try and make any of these coatings look better than one another. So again, we have just been using a pH neutral shampoo to wash this thing, but now I think is really the time we need to introduce a little bit of chemicals here with the current state of the car. As you can see here, we have a lot of mineral deposits all over the side of this thing. It's a little bit harder to see on this, but you can see lots of heavy water staining. And the problem is here, winter in Colorado was quite weird here. We got very, very little snow. And then spring, we're finally starting to get some precip here, but it's also pretty hot. Like it's 85 degrees outside today. And unfortunately, all of this water spotting has been sitting on this car for about a week or so. So that's why we're going to introduce an alkaline pre-wash today, as well as an acidic contact wash. So let me run you through the products we're actually going to be using for that in today's video. So Labo Cosmetica Primus 2.0 has become easily one of my favorite foam pre-washes to be used in a foam cannon. Built Hammer Touchless, also a great one as well. Typically like to use that in an IK sprayer. It's a heck of a lot more economical, especially with a big 3.0 gallon per minute machine up there. And then for our contact wash, CarPro D-Scale here. Now there are plenty of different acidic washes out there. Koch Chemie Reactivation Shampoo is a great one. I just think it's probably a little bit too strong. We don't really have coatings that are necessarily failing yet. I just want to make sure we're breaking down the mineral deposits here. So acid is really always for breaking down lime scale, mineral deposits, things like that, where your alkaline pre-wash is going to help you break down road film, organic material, dirt, bugs, grime, things like that, and get the surface as clean as possible before we go in for a contact wash. So for our dilution ratios on our alkaline pre-wash here, you can see Labo recommends a 1 to 5 for winter dirt and grime, 1 to 10 for summer dirt and grime. Now, being that we have a 3 gallon per minute machine up here, I'm going to juice that up a little bit. So we're going to use an 8 to 1 dilution ratio here. Now I'm going to make up 800 milliliters of total solution, which means 711 milliliters of water, 89 milliliters of our foam concentration here, and I'll also give you the pH on that as well. Looks like we're sitting right at about an 11.5 diluted down at an 8 to 1 dilution ratio here. So let's get this mixed up in one of our foam cannon bottles, get it sprayed on the car. Well, apologies, I actually filmed the foam in slow-mo. Maybe I'll put a few clips up there. Didn't mean to do that, was getting some B-roll for you guys. So the one thing that kind of sucks with having an AR635, even at 8 to 1 dilution here, naturally we don't have great snow foam, but this also does present a very different viewpoint on how the coatings actually look here. So you can see back here, we've got Adams Graphene Advanced back here, this entire panel here. Now, interestingly, look how different it looks to over here where the foam is really clinging on it. So this is Crystal Serum Light by G-Technic. This is CSL with XOV5 on top. We've got Geon Mo's Evo here on the back. We've got Geon Infinite Base Type 1. This here, really interesting to see. C-Quartz UK 3.0. You can see how flooded that panel is. Then when we come up here to the front, this over here, we've got Armor Detail Supply quartz coating. We've got their Pro quartz coating, clean by pan, and that Infinite Base Type 1 again. Over here tells another very different story. You can see we've got that Crystal Serum Light right there. So really a lot of cling on there, whatever this might be. You can see a huge difference here between Infinite Base Type 1 as well as the ADS Quartz, ADS Pro, clean by pan back here. Look at this, how different this is versus the ADS stuff. You can see how much cleaner this panel is, essentially sheeting all of that off versus the other three here. And that is something I've been noticing with Pan's coating here. So back here, again, we've got CarPro UK 3.0. This back here has been a really impressive coating to me. This is the Adams Pro line, their advanced one. I'll put it up on the name of the screen here, what that actually is. Unbelievable hydrophobics. Now also goes down into here, so you can see quite a bit of contamination here. Then on the back hatch here, we've got clean by pans here. We have the Armor Detail Supply Pro over here, and we've got their non-pro down here. And that pretty much wraps up our coatings around the vehicle other than the front end. I want to check out how the front end is doing here. So up front here, we have the Adams. We've got G-Technic with EXO. I don't remember which one it is, if these are flip-flopped. One of them has just CSL, one has EXO. And then over here, we have Geon Mo's Evo. So pretty interesting distinction. Again, just looking down the side, you can literally see all the contaminants there, and then you can see the coatings that don't have the greatest water behavior. And also, interestingly enough, I don't know if I've shown this a ton, but up top here, we've got the ADS Pro coating on the driver's side, and over here we've got G-Technic CSL only, and you can just see how much flatter it is versus the ADS on this side. So I'm going to let this dwell. Not a perfect alkaline wash here just because of how thin it is, but again, I'm trying to keep it down here. I don't want to just like blast this every single time. We probably should have done to 5-to-1, but also very interesting distinctions here between all of the coatings as well. So let's come in here for a quick first rinse. So a couple interesting notes here on the side. With Mo's Evo back here, you can see it's flooding the panel. Same with Infinite Base Type 1. And you can also see all the mineral deposits down here, how they are definitely locked into that paint. I would say definitely Infinite Base Type 1. Their Pro coating is looking a little bit better. How about back here with G-Tech? Looking pretty terrible on both of these, to be honest. Now, this coating over here, Crystal Serum Light, definitely more of a sheeter. The top coat EXO V5 on top of it. I might have said V4 before. I do apologize for that. But V5 back here, definitely more hydrophobic. But again, look at how much this is flooding down the side. Really, really, really slow to sheet there on Crystal Serum Light. Adams coating looking pretty good, starting to get a little bit of water sticking on there. How about the back end here? I really see very little difference between Pans and the ADS Pro back here. How about the non-Pro? Yep, so still seeing a little bit here. The Adams stuff though, this is their Pro. Man, does it have some serious water behavior. Look at that. That's absolutely glorious. All right, coming back down to the driver's side now. ADS stuff looking pretty good. What you'll notice back here, now this is a little bit harder of an area. This is their non-Pro versus the Pro. You do see a little bit more sheeting here versus back here. Yeah, definitely a little quicker to release. Interesting. Oh my God, look at Pans coating, man. And then we've got C-quartz back here, definitely starting to sheet. Pans coating by far, yet again, that's what I've been saying throughout this test, blows me away. Just look at the difference as I come across here. Seeding, starts to bead a little bit better, and then just beads like crazy. And then you get a seeder again. These are still pretty darn impressive up here with ADS stuff though. So let me get the roof rinsed off, then we'll foam this down with our acid. All right, so after we've got this rinsed down, now we've got our D-scale here. Now again, not as an aggressive as an acid here as some other ones. They're very useful in certain situations. I just want to use the least aggressive pH here to do the job intended. So if we flip this around here, a little bit hard to see, but 100 to 1 for bucket washing, 1 to 10 for a foam sprayer. So I've made that up here. I also want to check the pH of this. Now if we pop this in here, still pretty on the strong side. So that's right at a 4.0 pH on the CarPro D-scale. So we'll get the job done here. So let's get this foamed on. We'll do our contact wash and I'll see you after. So I just quickly needed to re-foam this, just to make sure no areas are drying. We're starting to see some splotches here, so got a very quick amount of time before I got to rinse this. One thing I do want to share with you guys, a quick subjective note here in terms of slickness. Now I know this is a big topic and a big marketing thing that a lot of coating companies say, we have the slickest coating, this, that, and the other. I personally, when I'm washing this, feel zero difference between any of the coatings. Even over here where you could see that the Crystal Serum Light is very much holding on to water more versus the Geon stuff. When you go over it, you don't even notice it. And that's not something I necessarily expected. Even over here with the big difference between Pan the Organizers and the CarPro C-Quartz UK 3.0, I feel zero difference. Everything feels basically as slick as each one of the other ones. So pretty darn interesting. So I'm curious to see, I'm going to let this sit for just a few more seconds here before we get rinsing. If any of the hydrophobics came back, especially on the lower door areas on the coatings, unclogging it, getting it looking good. So Now let's get to rinsing. I'll put up on screen here of which panel I'm rinsing. Just want you guys to see the hydrophobic effect. We've also got the 25-degree tip on here. Be a little bit more focused, blast off any remaining dirt and grime. Not that there should be any remaining. So very interesting here. I would absolutely say pans coating here, the Quartz Pro from ADS and the non-Pro, looking very much identical. Fantastic water behavior. Over here on the Pro level Geon, I am noticing a few areas that are still holding on to a little bit of water. So that's pretty interesting here. Pretty interesting, folks. Looking great on the front bumper. So again, XO-V5 here versus Crystal Serum Light without XO-V5, big difference in terms of water behavior. But also the interesting thing is this being a quote unquote sheeter, look how little water is on here versus over here. Pretty interesting distinctions. Looking great. Come down the side now. So again, on top of the mirror there, Crystal Serum Light, you can see a lot of sheeting on here. So interesting on the side there, the Geon coatings, I would say not looking 100% amazing. Definitely still holding on to the water. Very similar to what we saw on the hood there. Let's come back here to the G-Technic side. Yikes. I don't know about you guys. I don't necessarily think that's intended here. This is really not looking great. We did get all the water spots off down here, which is great. But guys, the coatings back here, especially XO-V5 topped with CSL, very unimpressive here. Especially down here. I don't know about you guys, but that doesn't really seem great to me. Interesting. I don't know. Again, a sheeter rather than a beater. Interesting distinctions. It just looks pretty slow to me there. Wow, look at that atoms, man. Interesting. Look at that sheeting a little bit and then the beating comes back. Nice. Crazy how much hydrophobics pans coating has. It's very small difference here, but you can also see as I'm rinsing this does have a good water evacuation on it. Look at the amount of water over here on the ADS Pro side versus the pan. And you can see it does sheet over here a little bit more. Pans coating's definitely more hydrophobic for sure. Here's the Adams Pro. See a little quick sheet there, but man, this looks phenomenal here. Look at that water behavior. Damn, Adams, that looks really nice. Ooh, that's a lot of water in here. Holy crap, look at that coating, dude. Wow, night and day difference between pans and C-Quartz there. How about the ADS guys up here? So still, I would say a little bit of kind of sheeting there on the ADS non-pro, and then the pro, man, pretty close here with pans. Got to give the edge to pans on hydrophobics, guys. And again, this is ADS Pro, very different from the other mirror on the other side with the crystal serum light. And this is CSL here. I don't know, guys. That sheeting behavior to me for crystal serum light does not look right. What do you guys think? Is that coating dead already, or is that how it should look? That is, I would say, pretty underwhelming to me if that's how it's supposed to look. I understand this is supposed to be a sheeter rather than a beater. It's the whole point of XOV5. But how slow it is, something feels weird to me. Look how slow that is. I don't know, guys. Interesting. I just want to come back here to this side of crystal serum light and tell me if you guys think this is normal or good. It takes forever to sheet there. Pretty interesting. So let me finish rinsing down the roof here and I'll give you some final thoughts. All right, so let's do a quick walk around here, give you some final thoughts. I'm very much glad we did a alkaline pre-wash on this and went through and did an acidic contact wash. Also, remember, I'm pretty sure I put it up on screen. I should note it here for the edit. But our pH of 4.0 in the foam cannon, obviously that's gonna get diluted down once it actually hits the car. So do keep that in mind. Same thing with our alkaline pre-wash. You have water flowing through the pressure washer, so naturally it's gonna dilute it down even farther. But just wanted to make sure you guys understood that. I just find pH very interesting. And the big story here of my whole intention of not using an alkaline pre-wash every single time is I am not a huge believer in using heavy alkaline, heavy acid every single time you wash your car, because naturally over time it's going to break down that coating quicker. You know, especially on wheels, this has been another whole video topic that I've been making. You know, some people throw a wheel coating on and then 6-9 months down the road, they're like, my wheel coating's completely failed, and they're, you know, blaming the company. Meanwhile, every single time they wash their wheels, they're using a 13.5 pH and just blasting the wheels when you don't actually need to do that. So again, the big topic here, do this type of decontamination when you need to do it. If your car is filthy, you're trying to avoid marring, great, get into pre-washes. I'm also gonna have some videos coming up very, very soon talking about pH neutral dedicated pre-washes versus alkaline pre-washes. That could be pretty interesting to dive into, so stay tuned for that. A couple of notes here on the coatings. So very impressed by a lot of these. I would say to myself, I'm a little maybe scratching my head on some of them. I'm really impressed by the Armor Detail Supply non-pro quartz coating, their pro quartz coating. Pans coating is absolutely blowing me away. And I gotta say also, I didn't really expect to be as blown away with it, but Adam's coating back here, their pro level coating, unbelievably impressive. The water behavior is freaking next level. But again, the thing I am noticing reoccurring here, Pans coating hydrophobics from this test far exceeds pretty much everything else. And I notice this when I'm driving the car through rain, through snow, whatever it is, the panels stay cleaner. You can visibly see it. It is pretty darn crazy what that coating is actually doing. Again, I want to bring you guys back over here to crystal serum light. I know I've touched on this a couple of times now in this video. I can't say that I'm unbelievably impressed with this coating, and that's genuinely been my experience with it over the years. I used to use it quite a bit. I'm kind of surprised at how slow the sheeting is, especially here on the door and that front kind of quarter panel, if you will, on that driver's side. Really, really slow sheeting. Now again, you could make the argument here, a sheeting coating is better than a beading coating, especially when it comes to water spotting. So big distinction there. But this to me almost looks a little bit on the side of coating looks a little degraded to me. That's my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I was also pretty surprised down here on the topper with XOV5 of how much it was sheeting there as well. You could see it was beading up top okay, and then down low really holding on to a lot of it. So my question is the Crystal Serum Light XOV5 coating pretty darn degraded as is? And again, the CarPro C-Quartz UK 3.0, a coating I used to use years and years and years ago. Pretty interesting to see that coating because it was known as like the best coating out there, and then see Pan's coating, you know, a new quote unquote influencer product that I'm still blown away with his coating right next to it. And it's just really, really interesting. But I think I'm going to end this off here. We didn't talk about wheels today. I'm going to go through, clean these up. Not really seeing too much different from last video. I really wanted to focus on paint. Glass is a whole other topic. I'm not happy with how the glass test is going, which how I've been, you know, very much kind of ignoring it, I guess you could say. Both of the coatings asked for 2 layers of coating. I don't really agree with that, and I think it made it worse. So yeah, I'm probably gonna restart that test, probably add in a 3rd one, especially on the windshield, and see how things are there. But really interesting test. I hope you guys enjoy this. I absolutely love making these videos, and it's so fun to see this car all the time outside. You'll see some panels look a little dirtier than others, and then coming here, looking at hydrophobics and seeing how they're doing. I can't wait to see how this looks in, you know, our next 6-month update, in a year, in 2 years, all of that fun stuff. It'll be really interesting to see. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on another one soon. Bye-bye.